What up, y'all? Welcome to the YouTube channel, Real Advantage Productions. I go by Paz B. Two great things about me: I'm a cool guy, number one. Number two, I stand by what I say. I try to do what I say I'm going to do. Dependable. I'm a dependable dude. Like I said, I'm Paz B. This is Real Advantage Productions. And I got something I want to talk to y'all about today. Let's get into it.
I want to talk about Lincoln, Abraham himself, the man on the penny. So I want to talk about Lincoln the movie. It's made in 2012. I just got finished watching it. It's pretty good. I done watched it like 2 or 3 times in like the last week or so. The movie basically had to do with his last 4 months in office before he died. And his last 4 months were dedicated to passing the 13th Amendment that freed the slaves, that ended slavery in America. There's a lot of stuff in the movie that they don't teach you in school, and I felt it very interesting. He went through a lot to get that amendment passed. Of course, to make an amendment to the Constitution, it takes two-thirds of the Congress, and he had to do a lot of hand wringing, a lot of twisted arms to get all those people to go for it. Because a lot of people, especially at the time, a lot of racists and bigots at the time in 1865. But yeah, it reminds you, and Donald Trump's a Republican, and Abraham Lincoln, of course, was a Republican. The Republican Party basically was started with abolitionists, basically started to end slavery in America. And Abraham Lincoln covered that. But yeah, in the movie, you see him bribing people, bribing congressmen for their vote to pass the amendment. So there was a lot of stuff going on in there. Very interesting, very interesting. He was giving people jobs, offering people we'll make you the postmaster of Virginia. Just go ahead and vote for the bill, and in the movie you see him he'll bump, he had people that was helping him to secure votes. They'll bump people in the hallways with a briefcase of money and have and have some sort of contract, or whatever. But yeah, it was interesting. It was very interesting. There was one part of the movie, one of his dudes was trying to get the dude to vote for the amendment, and the dude took out a shotgun, was going to shoot him. He was such a bigot and racist. He was so offended that he took out a gun and tried to shoot the guy. So so like I said, it was very interesting movie. This was made in 2012. If you haven't checked it out, you haven't seen it, I encourage everybody to check out Lincoln. Another good aspect of the movie, his children, like one of his children died in the Civil War. One of his other sons wanted to join the war also, and they had an argument between, Lincoln didn't want his other child. He already had a child that died in the war. He didn't want his other child to be in the war, but the other child said, this is the in crowd. This is what everybody's doing now, and the world's going to think of me. Everybody's going to think that I was a wimp, or they're not going to respect me if I don't fight in the war. And so that was an interesting part of the film too. Another interesting part of the movie, I actually had to research this after I saw the movie because I didn't really understand it. But there's a black woman who's in the movie a lot. She's basically seen with Mary Lincoln, with President Lincoln's wife, and she's she doesn't really say too much, but she's always there. You always see her there. I didn't really get what her connection was. I was trying to figure out. The movie doesn't really explain what her job was, but you just saw she was always there. She was always around. She had one scene where she was talking to Lincoln or whatever. She was just always around. She was always around. She was always around. So I did some research. I do some further research, went to my friend in Wikipedia, come to find out that this woman, and you'll see her prominently in the film. She's in there prominently, but she was considered the best friend of President Lincoln's wife, and said her actual official duties and job was she was a seamstress. She made clothes, and she actually dressed the president's wife. Said she actually made clothes for the president, and that she was a seamstress. There's a whole story about her. Also, another thing about her too is why they showed her so prominently in the film. Historically, she actually wrote a book. I think she wrote an autobiography and she detailed a lot. So that's a thing of history. She actually wrote a book and she detailed a lot of the inner workings, some of the private conversations between President Clinton and his wife. And she was considered to be, at one time, President Lincoln's wife's best friend. So that was an interesting part of the movie too. And she had some sway, and she was talking to President Lincoln about her thoughts on, ending slavery, what would happen to Black people once they become free, and things like that. So yeah, I encourage you guys to watch that. Give you some more insights of Abraham Lincoln. I know we all study Abraham Lincoln in school and everything like that, but you don't get all the details from the classroom, from your middle school or your high school. Yeah, but what do you guys know about Abraham Lincoln? What do you guys know about Lincoln? And what did you think of him as president? What did you learn about him in school? And let me know. Put your comments. Now, I've heard Donald Trump say that he's been the best thing to Black people since Abraham Lincoln. I think